because Instagram didn't get the Civil Rights Act signed, you know, and it wouldn't have if it was around. I'm Raheem Fitzgerald. I'm a multi-disciplinary artist. Sometimes I'm called abstract poet. I'm Raheem first, abstract poet second, artist, at times an activist, and a human. I think I'm just in the middle of everything. As far as history, as far as the future, I'm in the middle. I think a lot of the time the reasons that art works for me is because my goal is to share something, is to help people grow. At a time where it was hard to find a job, and at the times where I've risked steady income, things like that, because I had a dream that I believed in. I bet everything on this, you know what I mean? I've almost died to make art. I've starved to make art because I had this dream. I feel like being black, everything, I can't just make anything. I can't just be ignorant. I can't dress like a bum, quote unquote. I can't do anything because I think I'm perceived it's very harsh perceptions on you when you're black. And I think during a lot of the things that are going on in 2020, I got very involved, and it was a point where I was like, damn, I'm involved in something really serious, and the last 6 months of my life have been in the art world that is kind of not hard. It's not a harsh world. This is a soft world where everything is curated towards me, but talking to people about their journeys, talking to people who I never would have talked to, but I was a lot more open with meeting people who aren't also artists, you know what I mean? That was probably the first time I stepped outside of the art world for real, in a real way since I entered it. And I think sometimes art as a black person is about doing as much as you can with the influence that you have, because it still affects you. No one cares about me being an artist if they're racist. The perspective change that being black and being an artist really gives is being the only person that looks like you in some of these settings can be disheartening, and people making their own perceptions off of that can be disheartening. But as a black person and as an artist, I try to realize that they're both the one and the same and also separate at times, and sometimes they have to be separated because, one thing get put on pause, because I know it's not enough to paint Vermeer's paintings as black people or Pablo Picasso's paintings as black people, but actively being in your community is what is the most powerful thing. And I understand that you may feel like I'm more palatable to you, so you wash away my blackness to accept me, but don't get it twisted. This is where we are. This is what it is. This is a black Instagram account. Sometimes you have to remind people, and unfortunately we're in a society where those reminders are needed, because I think when activism has become a joke, when being socially aware has become a meme, there's still people who I'm literally fighting for my life. This isn't just a summer. This isn't just infographics. In fact, the infographics that are made are from studying how I walk around every day. There's kids who read a book about black people and now they want to try to teach me about critical race theory or something. And I'm like, you don't realize you're reading a book about what happens when I walk down the street. And so it's just a strange perspective. It's crazy how rapidly St. Pete has been changing. I stand with a lot of those kids who are trying to do things for the housing market, and I stand with really most of anyone trying to really change things, just to put that out there, you know what I mean? But specifically right now, I think where people need help is just making sure that the people who made this city what it is, as far as the art community, should be more respected by the higher ups in the city, because I think it's no secret that those Visit St. Pete Clearwater commercials and these things wouldn't be happening without the work of a lot of the people who built up the downtown St. Pete area and beautified it with these murals, such as Zulu Painter, Rasta from Rasta's Gallery, a lot of those people who were pioneers of that 600 block scene. What that did for the city of St. Petersburg, I think there could be a lot more respect put on the people that really helped the city, and it's unfortunate that these people are really getting pushed out both places. I think it's unfortunate that businesses are getting pushed out. All the respectable art businesses have been challenged, and I think whatever system we live in that keeps people lower, we don't realize how far the tendrils go. And so I just think maybe finding more ways to have affordable housing, have people supported, we're all people who need help. I think there are a lot of people out there who could use a shot, who are ready, but it's just harder when I think these people have been easily disadvantaged over the years. And I think some people get discouraged to be a part of large things because of just how they feel like they're marginalized out of the art community in their own city when it comes to the 5 big events. I just think it's one of those things where I don't want to blatantly say that people are being disrespected, but I do want to say that there is room for growth as far as St. Pete's art community goes, as far as how the government-funded things, city-funded things go towards more artists that live here. I think a lot of times because people's livelihood depends on these things, they can't necessarily speak their mind about it. And sometimes I worry that I'm being too brash or being too aggressive about something, but a lot of times if I say something like, hey, you guys can do better, it looks like I'm saying, go f yourself. Or it seems like that's how I'm received at times. Learning how to respond and not react to things is a big help. I think a lot of people forget that you have to disarm the situation before you bring in the facts. I'm just trying to do a good job at making sure the words I say can be taken serious from any room, from the ground to the highest room in government. I think a lot of the problem becomes that people feel like they don't have to listen once they feel attacked, once they feel like someone is armed against them. They feel like they stop having to listen because they're automatically in defense mode. And I want to have more conversations with people where they're no longer in defense mode. Even if I do think that sometimes in the end, I still have no control over something, even though I try to not to psych myself out like that, but those are thoughts that can come. I believe that voting can make change. I believe that it's better than doing nothing. It's better than just having a conversation about how messed up everything is. I think a lot of times we can get really caught up in just sitting and having conversations. It's nothing to talk but being active, getting out there in the streets, really talking about it. Instagram didn't get the Civil Rights Act signed, and it wouldn't have if it was around, but people actively protesting. And I've always been a big supporter of the Florida Dream Defenders. I think those people really helped spark a fire in myself. Like I said earlier, I stand with some of the people who are forming a tenants union. No matter how many challenges they're facing through that, I'm glad that they can be selfless. As far as community support in the arts, there's a publication by this guy named Jit Camp. And I think it's beautiful that there are people who are taking careers and making sure careers like my own don't go unnoticed. St. Pete supports arts, wonderful organization that I think I could support more. My calls to action are just everybody believe in themselves. Listen to people around you. Since I started turning to people in the community like Carla Bristol, like Zulu, having these conversations with people like that and knowing that I'm not alone, no matter how much I feel like I'm alone, there are people who are willing to help you, including me. If you see this video and you feel like I could advise you on anything, reach out, These are the thoughts behind the art that I'm making, is that I want people to believe in themselves. I have a lifestyle company called NHO, and it's about being in the middle of history. It's about knowing everything before you and being inspired by that, but knowing that there's a bunch of ground in front of you that you have to continue to pave, knowing that everything I do, hopefully one day will mean something to a lot of people.